So today I'm going to show you how you can help your child to subtract a 2-digit number from a 2-digit number without exchanging or regrouping. So the first stage that we show to children is subtracting a 1-digit number from a 2-digit number. So they would be very familiar with an equation like this, and as with the addition, we'll get them to show this using resources, so tens and ones, or your bundles of 10 if you don't have this at home. So the way that we teach children how to solve this is to use their understanding of number bonds to help them. So we get them to say the following sentence to explain what number facts they can use to help them solve the equation. So I know that 6 minus 2 is equal to 4. So 56 minus 2 is equal to 54. So this way is just a bit more of an efficient method to use rather than getting the children to subtract the 2 and then count how many they've got left. If they're using their number facts, then they'll find the answer quicker and they're more likely to be accurate as well. So the next stage that children are taught is to subtract a tens number from a 2-digit number. So for example, 56 subtract or minus 20. So this time we get children to use slightly different sentences to explain what it is they're doing as they're doing it, as they're working through the method. So now they're going to concentrate on the tens. I know that 5 minus 2 is equal to 3. So 5 tens minus 2 tens is equal to 3 tens. So I've got my 5 tens. If I minus my 2 tens, it's going to be equal to 3 tens. So 5 tens and 6 ones minus 2 tens is equal to 3 tens and 6 ones. And again, try and encourage your children just to automatically see the number of tens and ones without having to count them all one by one. The advantage of getting them to use these sentences as they practice a method is that it really helps them, again, just to deepen that understanding of what they're doing alongside a very abstract method. It also helps with their understanding of place value. They know it's going to be 5 tens subtract 2 tens specifically. So the next stage is to move on to subtracting a 2-digit number. So for example, if we've got 56 and this time we're going to subtract 23. And again, just like with the addition method, we will get children to think about partitioning or splitting that 23. So to subtract 23, we can subtract 20 and then subtract 3. So if we get our 56 alongside, again, to demonstrate this, and again, your children might not need to use any resources to help them. So, as with the addition, the first thing they need to do is subtract the number of tens. So the next equation that they're going to write is going to be 56 minus 20. And they might use that sentence that I just mentioned earlier. 5 tens subtract 2 tens is 3 tens, so 56 subtract 20 is going to be 3 tens and 6 ones. So do encourage them to use these sentences because it will help build that fluency. Now that I've done that pretty easily, the next step is to subtract the 3. So that answer becomes the first number of my next equation. And then this time I'm subtracting the 3 ones. And again, just like I showed you earlier, try and get them to think about what number fact would help them. So if I know that 6 minus 3 is 3, then I know that 36 minus 3 is 33. So 56 minus 23 is equal to 33. And at this point, it might be useful to get your children to think about representing what they've just done in the bar model or in a part-whole model or both, so that they can really see visually the relationship between the numbers. So we've got 56 as the bigger number here, and then we've subtracted 23 and we are left with 33. So this encourages children to see the inverse relationship between addition and subtraction. So yes, if we subtract 23 from 56, we'll get 33, but if we combine 23 and 33 together, we're going to make 56. So just like with the addition equations, a really good way to deepen children's understanding is to provide them with equations where you've got a missing number. So for example, and if we take the first example, the bar model can be really helpful to those children who won't straight away be able to see what they need to do with these two numbers to get that middle missing number. So if you ask them to put what numbers they can see into a bar model, they'll be able to recognise that 67, it's that first number, it's got to be the biggest number because it's a subtraction equation. And then 43 has to go somewhere. So it needs to be one of the parts. And in this way, it's clearer for children to understand what they need to do with these two numbers to identify that missing part. They know they don't need to add these two numbers because then they'll get a number that's bigger than 67. So the only other thing they can really do is subtract the 43 from the 67. And again, just like I mentioned before, get your children to go through the steps of that method and to show all of the steps in the right order and to verbalise the steps as they say them and as they do them to help with understanding what they're doing. As with the addition video, it's really important that you provide children with opportunities to see the answer represented at the beginning as well as the end. So children are really familiar with these types of equations and they're not thrown by it or confused by it. So they'll see straight away that all they're being asked to do is subtract 34 from the 75 to get to that missing number. Another thing that's really important is to include some word problems to help children with their subtraction. Now, this is just one example. I had 37 centimetres of ribbon. I cut off 25 centimetres to wrap a present. What length of ribbon do I have left? Now, the reason for the word problems is it provides a context for what children are doing. So they're not just going through an abstract method. And you can use whatever interests your children. So instead of ribbons, you can use certain characters that your children are into, just to make it a bit more fun and a bit more motivating. So again, what can help your children is to think about what numbers they already know and then what they need to do to those numbers. So 37 and 25 are numbers that are mentioned, and we know that 25 centimetres has been cut off. So the 37 we know is going to be the original length, and then if we cut off 25, centimetres. Now we know what we need to do with those two numbers.